following that, I can't imagine the type of people we will raise in society if we continue to go down the line of like demonizing weaknesses and beating people down for not having like these same strengths, in the sense of like everybody has to have these same strengths. And so I think that kind of takes away the individuality of humanity on the low, because like not everyone has the same strengths and not everyone has the same weaknesses. So now we're trying to say everybody got to have the same strengths, and no one can have weaknesses. And it's like, that's not possible. And that's not going to make for very good mental health moving forward for our men or our women.
Yeah. Just make it clap.
6'5". Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffet Podcast, brought to you once again by your boy Brandon and my beautiful fiance, Ciandra. Yeah. The people who know, but for the people who don't, for the ones I was gonna say, for the ones who don't, the ones who don't. You know what I'm saying? Recently, we've been betrothed to each other, engaged. Pop, the question, you know what I'm saying? She said yes.
I did say yes.
We're still doing the podcast because,
If I said no, you'd be like, podcast
relationship over. It's over with. What are we here for?
We're trying to figure it out. It's like the people on Love Is Blind.
Not right now.
We can continue.
Not right now. No.
We can continue to date. We're just trying to figure it out.
Let's toast up, maybe. Let's drink somewhere. Yeah. Sippy sip. Celebration.
We already did that.
Tasty alcoholic adult beverage. Excuse me. Okay. So, episode 106. Before we get started, once again, let's do a little bit of housekeeping and say, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead, like and subscribe. And I'm saying, leave a comment. We trying to get these numbers up. Like we said last week, we recently broke the 100 subscriber barrier. So we trying to get to 200. We trying to get to 200 as soon as possible. So we need y'all help. You know what I'm saying? Please, share, send it to your grandmama, to all the people around you. Tell them to watch, tell them to subscribe.
If they can find value in it. We want people to listen to this conversation, walk away with something, ask some questions to their partner, have some conversations in their own relationships so they can learn and grow with us.
If you're single or you're in a relationship, this is for you. And if you're black, on top of that, this is for you. If you're not black, it also could be for you. Mm-hmm. But if you're single and in a relationship and you're black and black adjacent, you in there.
Mm-hmm. This was voted the number one podcast by millennials who've been on Hinge more than 3 times. Yeah. And by been on Hinge more than 3 times, I mean, you got on, you was like, this shit don't work. You got off. And then you got back on.
And then you got a little motion, you know what I'm saying? But it didn't go as far as you wanted to. Then you was like, all right, I'm going to take a little break. And you fell back. Then you got back on. You know what I'm saying? This is for y'all.
Yep. Third time's a charm. But only if you learn something from this podcast will you be successful.
Yeah, this is for the people. Like, if you dating with a purpose, but you still fucking around on the low a little bit every once in a while, even though you know you shouldn't, but you still do it, this is for you.
This is for the people who see 2 red flags and decide, okay, enough is enough. I'm walking away. When you used to see 5 and keep running, just keep going forward. You change.
It's improvement. I say
you done grown.
It just take 5 red flags for you to say, nah, this ain't it. You down to 2. You down to 2.
We're gonna get you there.
This is progress. This podcast is for you.
It is.
Yeah, this podcast is for you, the Buffet Podcast, because we always trying to give you endless food for thought. How you feeling, babes?
I feel good. I wish that I could bling bling for y'all, but we had to go get my ring resized. But on one of these episodes soon, I'll be like,
bling blow. But check the if you haven't already, also follow us on IG, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Twitter as well. Yeah. And you'll probably see like the picture, a few pictures of you sprinkle, on there, so you can get a little glimpsey poo.
The poo.
Poo. It's giving off the market. Yeah. All right, y'all. So yeah, we're gonna hop straight into it. The first one we're gonna get into, we were probably a little bit late, but it set the internet on fire. It is the Anthony. Oh my God.
That drink kicking in. Percolating.
Nah, maybe. Nah, it was the Ebony. Ooh.
There you go.
K. Williams talking about Black women need to pick, while you're going for that degree in college, make sure you go for that MRS degree as well. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it, and we're going to, break it down a little bit.
The reality that needs to be said out loud is that as Black men age, their desirability increases. Thus, their optionality of women is always expanding. And the exact opposite is true for Black women. As we age, doesn't matter how much money we accumulate, our degrees or professional accolades, the reality is that our marriage and partnership market value is depreciating with every passing year. No matter how good we look, no matter how fit we are, men are still seeing primarily our presumed dwindling fertility as a knock against us. And speaking of fertility, that is another reason that I want younger Black women to seek marriage and partnership in college or right after, if that's what they choose. Because the number of college-educated Black men is so low when compared to Black college-educated women that we're all going to be targeting the same small pool of men. And as we heard today, on most campuses, there's like 7 Black women students for every 1 Black man student. Y'all do the math. So here's my advice. If you are a young Black woman in college and you know in your heart and in your head that you want to prioritize family, I suggest that you simultaneously pursue that MRS degree right along with that BA or JD. Because the handful of Black college-age men that actually do desire to get married soon, and they do share that value system, and family is a priority for them too, y'all, that is an incredibly small pool, and it's shrinking as you get older. And by the time you reach my age, 40, you will be faced with different choices relating to life partnership and motherhood. Now, I'm not saying that delaying marriage or motherhood is a bad option, but it's one that comes with its own consequences. And our women deserve to know on the front end of their decision making instead of on the back half.
Oh, okay. Interesting coming from our sister Ebony K. Williams.
What swimming in the milk.
Umar be wilding. He is a humorous man. He must be protected at all costs. So, what are you thinking?
Well, my original thought is the beginning speaking piece of women's value is going to decrease in the dating marketplace as they age, and their marketplace value doesn't correlate to the amount of money that they make, how good they look, or the degrees that they have. I think that is an acknowledgement from women that maybe men have been asking for, but maybe was lost with the other things that she said. Because I feel like what the internet conversation has been, or at least on my side of the internet, right? Because I don't see everything on the internet, but the conversation that I've seen on my side of the internet is there's truth to this, but we shouldn't be now telling girls to just go get married. Like, that's not going to solve the problem. Like, I think the conversation has been like, okay, first, we tried to autocorrect or overcorrect what we saw previous generations do and say, like, the traditional route is too traditional. There are errors with that. We're going to not get married, right? We're going to have relationships, build families, try to co-parent, try to figure that part of it out. But we may not have like a traditional family structure. Then it was a conversation of that doesn't work. We need to go back to a very traditional route. Like, we need to swing the pendulum back the other way and like try to figure that out. So I think that part of the conversation was much louder than the first part that she stated, which I feel like has become more of an accepted, I'm tempted to almost say universal truth. This idea that like men's dating value increases as they age and women's dating value decreases as they age, in spite of whatever other things that they've accumulated that make them feel as if their valuable in the dating marketplace. And so that was my first immediate takeaway. It's just like, interesting. I'm surprised that she said that, I guess, is my takeaway. It's like, as someone who has had love and relationships, like from her own, from what she shared of her own personal experience, right? Like we've talked about her before with the engagement during the pandemic, and like, you haven't been unsuccessful in love, or like you still had opportunity to be able to pursue love and relationships. So I'm surprised that she shared that. And I wonder if there's something about her reality has changed. Yeah.
I agree with you. The surprise was the first thing. I was like, wait, who said that?
Yes.
That was her. Ebony said that? Wow. Something must have happened for her to be like, I can't deny this anymore. And I think that may be what happened. In spite of what she believed and how she moved in the past, maybe it's just like it wasn't reflecting in reality for her. So she had to like sit down and be like, I have to acknowledge this truth, you know, like, and I can hear it and see it in her face when she's talking, that this wasn't information that she was exactly pleased with. And who would be pleased to be like, yo, kind of like what I was told growing up. Cause I do acknowledge that a lot of women, especially the Gen X, and maybe even now in the older to mid-level millennials, you know, were told growing up, it was like, you know, don't concentrate. Don't worry about boys. Don't worry about men. You know, concentrate on your degree. Concentrate on getting your money right on the low. And then the men and boys will always be there when you're ready. And of course, you know, they follow that. Makes sense. And then it sucks when you get on the other side of that and it being like, Dad, this is not what's reflective of real life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that advice coming from the even older generations, it was coming from, like, to your point, they came from a very traditional, like, my options were limited because I didn't go to college, or because I couldn't do this thing, because I ended up getting pregnant at hella early, so I couldn't do these things. So I want you to be able to do all those things I didn't do.
Yep.
And in my mind, the reason I couldn't do it was because kids early and I didn't go to school. So if you do those things,
if you do the opposite of that,
yep, you're going to be successful. It's similar to, like, your, you know, parents who weren't financially successful and they never went to college and they don't know about the college experience or what it looks like on the other side of that. All they know is, like, if you go to college, you're going to be successful. It's the correlation. So they say, go to college, and you say, okay, I'm going to go to college, but they don't know that it depends on what degree field, what field you're going into, like the connections that you make in college. It was a lot more than just show up for classes that went into being successful after college, and they couldn't give you that information because they didn't know it. And I think on this part here is a little bit similar when it comes to, you know, to giving the women that advice, where like it kind of overcorrected. We went from like, I didn't have any options, so I want you to have all the options, and then they get into the other side of that and being like, well, you have all these financial and educational and career options, but like your dating options has not been reflective of that success either. And it's been like, why is that not lining up? It's because they couldn't tell you that information, unfortunately. And now, you know, it seems like you said, they were trying to go overcorrect again and go back to like, okay, we're going back to how it used to be with grandma, where grandma was in the kitchen, you know what I'm saying, barefoot and pregnant, and like the man take care of everything and you don't have to work and you just be in the house and you cooking and cleaning. And it's like, nah, them days is dead too. On the low, those days are unfeasible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but those days they're further behind us than they are ahead of us.
Yeah.
So I think we need to like find the pendulum needs to like correct and kind of find some kind of balance right now. But again, I'm definitely was very, very surprised that Ebony K was saying that.
If what's the boy? Excuse me.
Kevin?
Yes.
Kevin said, if she said, that's literally what he said.
It's the same thing. The message is delivered in a more palatable way, I think. And the messenger is more well received, but literally is saying the same thing. The idea that like, okay, you did all this and the men that you want don't want you. Or you did all this and the men that you want to be available to you are not available to you. Maybe it's not even that they don't want you. They're just not available to you.
In the way that you would want, I guess.
Yeah, in the way that you would want. Your odds are just not stacked in your favor. And I think that that's another thing that she acknowledges later in the video is like, you start out in a space of a disadvantage if you're just looking at the numbers. If there's 7 women to 1 man, there's already this sense of competition, I guess, of like wanting to get this one particular man. Not only is that true for your campus, but with the internet, he got them numbers at every campus, like that's in a certain vicinity of him. And like that awareness of that, I don't think that there is ignorance of the fact that men have options and women feel like they have options. So,
and on college campuses, men are not enrolling as much as they used to be, and women are over. I ain't gonna say over enrolling. They are enrolling much more. So to the point, it's like there's 7 to 1. I guess using her number. I don't know the exact stat number, but I just know that it is way more women in college these days than men. And if it's like that when you're 18 to 22, as you get old, and that's technically when like you have the most options. As you get older and your options get smaller, that 7 to 1 might come 10 to 1, 11, 15 to 1, 30, 1,000 to 10,000 to 1 to hear some of these women talk on the internet. So but I think at the heart of what she's saying, and what she's saying is that just as hard as you're going for this degree, don't overlook finding a partner. Don't overlook finding like if it lines up, like why would you, if you want to be partnered, if you want a family, you want kids in your life, and you know that to be a goal of yours, like why would you like seek that out as you're going for your degree? Like she's not saying don't go to college. She ain't saying don't get your bag. She ain't saying saying don't try to be successful. She just saying don't over commit to that to the detriment of the other aspects of your life that you want to build up, and that you may even identify as being something that's more important. Like do you want a family more than you want a career, or do you want a career more than you want a family? And if whatever the answer is, like you got to take what comes with that.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a really good point. I appreciate that she offered a solution to a problem that she experienced in her own life and trying to give wisdom to younger women. I think the part that I am finding fault isn't the word that I want to use, but the part that that I don't 100% agree with is the idea of this one or the other. And I think that particular like one or the other mentality is exactly why people are in a space where I'm going to choose my career. I think that we need to get to a space where we can understand that it is all a balancing act. Like, unless at some point in your life you are going to walk away from your career, be a stay-at-home parent, and relinquish yourself from other responsibilities, you're always going to have to balance things. Like you're going to have to balance your relationship with your work, with your relationship with your family, with your relationship with your friends. Like you're going to have to balance multiple things. And the more practice you get balancing those things, the greater opportunity you have to feel like you have some mastery over it and like feel more comfortable balancing those things and knowing what the right balance is for yourself. So the one or the other mentality, I think, is the biggest problem that I find with people offering advice. And I think in some regards, she isn't saying that. I don't think that she's saying that, but I do think that that's a mindset that people have. Like I can either have this or I can have this.
Can't have both.
I have to focus on this first and then I can focus on that. And like, there's never going to be a time where you have 100% focus on just one thing unless you are afforded that luxury. Like if you can just be a stay-at-home parent or just be
that is a privilege at this point.
Yeah, like, and the only thing that you have to focus on is your relationships, then great. But that is very rare. You're going to always have to balance multiple things. And so the more practice you get balancing those things, I think you'll be the better for it.
Yes. I agree with you 100%, babes. I guess another point I guess I would want to say is, especially as we move into the future and, as we are attempting to redefine, what the tradition is going to be when it comes to building relationships in which both men and women have equal opportunity of success when it comes to like work and career. Because of that, we're going to have to redefine what it's going to look like outside of work as well. Like the times of like woman being the expected person to stay home and take care of the kids and things of that nature. Like, great if you can make it happen, but like at this point, I don't think it is. I would say fair or I guess no, I won't say not effective, but just like it's untenable to have that expectation of you the man. Okay, so that means you gotta hold the whole household up financially on your own. I'm the woman. Even like I'm expected to take care of the whole house and home on some like 1953 shit.
Yeah.
Like no. Like we're both out here working. We're gonna have to work unless you're in a position where you can make that happen. And again, at this point, that's becoming more of a 1% thing.
Yeah.
That is not something that is afforded to the average household anymore. That's dead. That's not coming back no time soon. We need to accept that those days is dead. Those days is gone. Where 50K can hold a whole family up. That's not happening no more. Not here in America. Get it out your head. It's gone. Unless you willing to live in like the backwoods of middle America. No way, I ain't even gonna say that because I done seen some of them house prices up in middle America. Them bitches be high as hell too. Unless you're willing to live severely below your means, and I know you're not, so I'm gonna stop that sentence here. So I think we need to renegotiate what it looks like for a 2-parent household to raise and maintain a family and work at the same time. And we need to come to an agreement. And it doesn't necessarily have to be okay, we all come together and this is what the rules is across the board. You need to come to an agreement with your partner. You need to come to an agreement with the person that you choose to partner with and be okay with that. Because this whole like if he's not holding the whole family down financially, then I can't follow him. He can't be the leader. I can't give him no kind of respect. Or if the woman ain't willing to devote, 100% of the time to cooking and cleaning, like she ain't for me. I'm like, all right, go ahead. You can do that, but you're going to have to take what comes with that. You're going to get diminishing returns on those demands. You can demand it. I ain't say don't do it. I'm just saying you can't come on I was gonna say Beyonce's internet because it could pop up. You can't come on, these internets and be complaining and being like, yo, the like, wow, woe is me. It's like, no, this is not the way of the world anymore. Unfortunately, get with the times or get left behind.
You want to hit a gunshot because it felt very.
Kind of did, right?
It did. You straight at your neck.
Yeah, but we can say it as long as you want. Because even with Ebony K. Williams, when she said it was people in the comments coming for her neck, just like they was coming for
really?
Kevin. Yeah, woman, and they're like, oh, how it's funny you saying that when you can't hold a man down. Like how you gonna talk about it when you haven't seen no success? Or so they immediately went into the personal attacks. Like, oh yeah, you as soon as you say something that we don't agree with, you out of here. They was with her when she was like, if he don't own the bus, I can't fuck with you. They was like, yeah, the queen, yes, tell them. But she say like, yo, when we get older, our options diminish because like how we look at things and how the man we want looking at things is not the same. We need to like reevaluate how we go about this thing. We not rock with you. Who is you?
Damn, forget about it.
Be your own people.
Damn. But I mean, hit dogs holler. So if you felt personally attacked,
that's real.
If you were upset with that, there's some truth to that either in your experience or you don't. You aren't in a place where you can accept that is true, right? Like, I guess the other thing is like you can choose to be single. Like if you've gotten to a point, I'm not saying give up hope or anything like that, but like there are other pathways, like love and relationship and marriage and commitment isn't the only pathway for you to have a successful and happy life. And so if you have made the decision to choose your career, prioritize your career, like you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have chosen that, recognize that there may be some consequences or some outcomes from your decision making, and you got to live with that too. Like you can't have it both ways, I guess is the other part of it. Like it's either one,
at least right now,
or the other. At
least right, or just find some balance. I don't know. Yeah. And to your point of like, there's nothing wrong with pursuing a career to the exclusion of all else. There's nothing wrong with that. Is that if that's what you chosen to do? But what we're seeing is like I've chase my career and my degrees to the exclusion of all else, but I've made it clear and stated that I want a family. I'm looking for a husband, but I'm working 80 hours a week. I'm looking for a husband, but like I'm not giving any men a chance because I'm looking at them like you aren't worthy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. But I think we've talked about this long enough.
I think so too. I'm praying for y'all.
Yeah.
I hope and I pray that y'all find what it is that you're looking for, because I think everybody is deserving of love and wants to have love in their life.
But yeah. But we are blocked by the visions that we think we should. Like we're blocked by how we think it should look.
Yeah, those expectations bite you in the ass every time. What you expect, what you think is the ideal, bite you in the ass.
Yeah. And I think a lot, and I also, I know we said we was going to move on, but I had another thought. I also think a lot of times when it comes to these relationships, I think people kind of go into it thinking like, I have to have a quote unquote perfect relationship, as if once I get in a relationship, everyone in the world is going to be able to see the intricacies of the relationship. Like they're going to be able to see inside the relationship and see like how y'all act with each other and what y'all, like what are y'all rules and regulations that you outlined are. And it's like, that's not true. Like people around you don't know what's going on in your relationship unless you choose to let them know that information. So it's like, so like if y'all are happy and you're okay with it, and to all appearances y'all seem like y'all doing well, no one's asking y'all no goddamn questions. If they are, you could politely tell them that's none of your business, because it's not none of their business. So I think a lot of people just like, I can't do it because how is it going to look? You know what I mean? I for the look, I'm doing it for the look, and that's unfortunate. That's a whole nother topic. Like, yeah, I hear a lot of times you're choosing partners based off of like the quote unquote look, how it's going to look to other people, how you think your friends are going to think of you, which I do admit that is a good like part of like that's a contributing factor. Like no one wants to have a partner in which they are looked down upon by the people that you love and care about. Yeah. But like if you get you a cool person, someone that's like stand up. I'm not saying get you like nobody who's like trash, boo boo. Get you somebody who's cool, but like who needs to know that you the bunny, you the breadwinner, 80-20, or that whatever your relationship dynamics are. No one needs to know those details. They just need to know like, is this person a good person? Do they treat you well? Are you happy? Are y'all productive? Y'all getting y'all goals that y'all say y'all want done? That's all I would hope the people around you care about.
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, that's a whole different.
They could have a totally different value system than you. Yeah. You better make sure that you are living your life according to your values and not according to theirs.
Fit acts.
Play this. I feel like this is a good lead in.
Yeah, man. This is going to lead us into our second clip. Thank y'all for going on this journey with us with this Anthony Ebony K.
Why you want to?
I don't know. I don't know why.
Ant-Man. You don't have the stuff up.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Here we go.
Here's how you know you've found the one. Philosopher Elaine de Botton gave a talk called Why You Will Marry the Wrong Person, and the whole thing can be summed up by a quote Jay Shetty shared on Instagram, which is, "There is no perfect partner. There's who you make it work with." Botton argues almost everyone will marry the wrong person because love is just as much about tolerance for weakness as it is admiration for strength. You might love someone very much, but tolerating their particular combination of weaknesses in the long term wouldn't work for you. Similarly, when we feel inclined to judge our friends for their relationship choices, it's helpful to remember that their partner's particular combination of weaknesses might work for them, even if it doesn't work for us. Perhaps the only way to know if we found the one is if we make the whole idea a bit less romantic, by thinking about it not just as someone you can love, but as someone who you can both love and tolerate, and who can do the same for you.
That was a perfect. Like,
I know you were queuing it up, and I don't think
I never even saw the clip, but got that future sight. You know what I'm saying? That shot and gun aim. But yeah, excellent clip.
Mm-hmm. Particular set of weaknesses, particular combination of weaknesses.
And I think I feel like just by saying weaknesses, she may have lost some people because no one likes to hear the word weaknesses in relation to ourselves. So maybe limitations, but weaknesses. We're gonna go with weakness. That's the word she used, and we need to get okay with recognizing that, like, yo, we all have our strengths and weaknesses.
Right? You're not perfect.
Yeah, you're
not.
Sorry,
hate to break it to you.
Am I the first person who told you that? Slap everybody in your life because they lied to you.
You're not perfect. You have strengths. You have the areas in which you shine, and you're fantastic. And
areas of genius or zones of genius.
Yes, you have things that you do that only you can do them the way that you do them, and that is also true for your weaknesses. Only you can do some shit like that.
That's true. That is true. Someone like, yeah. When you do something wild, like, and people like, well, that's B. Yeah. That's Tiandra. Yeah, you already know. Uniquely you.
Yeah,
that's true. You know, like, I'm thinking about not even just relationships, just like friendships. The friendships that endure the longest are ones that, in spite of like your fuckeries and like your quirks, positive and negative, they rock with you and they're able to like adapt and roll with it. It doesn't rub them in like a negative, in a way, to the point where it's like we can't be in each other's presence. I cannot tolerate it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It has to be a healthy balance between the two, because if you have a relationship where it's just respect and admiration for their strengths, it can feel almost like, I think I said this to you earlier about like the fixed mindset of this idea that like in my relationship, I get to be perfect. This is the space where I can't make any faults and I don't have to get called out on any weaknesses. I just get to show up and be loved, and that's it. And that kind of respect, admiration piece puts you in a space where you can't have any conversations about constructive criticism. You can't have any disagreements because it's like, no, I don't want to hear this. This isn't, you're just supposed to respect and admire me. We're not supposed to have any challenges or difficulties that we have to face. And those kind of one-sided relationships, I feel like, are not.
I always wonder, how do we get there? Like, how did we get to the idea that this is what a relationship is going to be? Like, how did we think that, like, I'm going to get into a relationship and it's just going to be beautiful and they're just going to compliment me and love me and everything is going to be perfect, honky dory? Like, how did that ever become a thing that we believe to be true?
I think it's fairy tale. It's just this idea of like, you have one initial hardship, you overcome that initial hardship, and then you go off into the sunset.
That's true. That is the movie. That is the movie. Everything's sweet. Everything, like, oh, then we meeting, everything's going well. Then here's the drama. Then it's like us reacting to the drama, Then we overcoming the drama, and then everything's sweet. But now with the advent of sequels, you notice every time when they get together at the first movie, at the second movie, they divorce or they're estranged, and then now they got to redo the love story all over again, which is again kind of annoying. But
yeah, I think that's a part of it, babe. It's just this idea of like, once I found my person,
thanks, Disney,
the hard work is over. Now I get to just cruise control and like ride this thing out. I don't have to do anything else. It was so hard to what we were just talking about, right? This idea that as a woman, you're significantly outnumbered, right? Then there's the ideas that exist for men about good women being hard to find, or, you know, don't date a woman if she's X, Y, Z. And so when you finally get your person, you're like, whew, all right, I'm off the streets. I'm done. I'm good. And I don't think that that's true. We know that that's not true if you want to be able to maintain your relationship. But even more than that, it's like you have to work on your ability to acknowledge and accept this person's weaknesses. You can't deny that they have weaknesses. You can't see them as perfect. You can't want them to see you as perfect, because
that is weird.
Not the reality of things.
Has that ever happened to you?
What?
Like, you've been in a relationship where like you can tell they kind of have you on the pedestal. They're looking at you like in a certain way that like you feel like you can't make no mistake. Like they're looking at you as if like you can do no wrong type of situation. Has that ever happened to you? Like, have you ever got that vibe from someone trying to approach you that they kind of got you on like that's kind of.
I haven't had that experience directly. I think maybe somebody I've dated has said like, "Oh, you're too good for me." Well, then leave me alone. Because
that is a wild thing to say. Don't say
something's going on with
Fellas,
you.
don't say that.
Yeah, get out of here. I don't want it. But I do think that our relationship is the first relationship where I felt like, ooh, Brandon can tolerate my weaknesses. There's even sometimes where I still feel a little like, oh, I'm being judgy. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to try to like process, work through my judginess before I say anything to Brandon. But then I say something to you and you be like, okay. Like you have a very high tolerance for things that I personally consider a weakness. I don't know if you view them as a weakness.
I'm glad you said that. The person, I was like, you consider it to be like you ODing, but I'm just like, okay, that what you say makes some sense. I see what you're coming from. Okay, cool. But I'm not going to sit here and act like the same is not true for me. You know, like I have my things where like I feel like I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to bring this up because like it feels like I'm being nitpicky or something like that. And then I say it and you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's it. And we're not talking about this. We're not going further. We're not talking about how you feel about what I said. Oh. And then an additional thought I just had is, you know, my earlier point about us having the mistaken belief, not us, I mean like us by like everyone, having the mistaken belief about how relationships are just a place of light and beauty and awesomeness all the time, 24/7. And how that is a result of socialization and movies and Disney and what have you. Is this the relationship equivalent of our parents telling us to go to college, but they didn't know what college was like and what it really took? Like you don't know how to get like be successful in college until you've going through it, until you get through it. So it's like they were just telling us, oh yeah, when you get in a relationship, everything is sweet. Like if it's like you found your other half. It feels like, you know, it's with someone who you can be yourself with and you feel no judgment. And then our mind, and then we took that and we were like, oh, and like we took that literally like, oh, it's like that, no judgment. So that means I can act how I want, I can say what I want and there's no pushback and and it was like, no. Yes, but no.
Yeah.
It's like when you get into it, you realize like the no judgment comes like we're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna challenge you. You're gonna be challenged. Oh my God, are you gonna be challenged? You're gonna be challenged, and you're gonna take that. You're gonna adjust. You're gonna make adjustments. You're gonna build off of each other. And once you build a solid foundation, once you build a solid and healthy relationship, that's when you can show up authentically. That's where you can be yourself because like you've already smoothed out the rough edges in each other, so where y'all can interact and be cool with each other. You've learned each other to like with your best friends where like you can have your quirks and then they know and understand it and they know how to handle that. And you don't know that, you don't realize that until you get into the relationship and you put in that time and you go through that. And when the people who have gone through that try to come back and explain it, it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Like you have no frame of reference for it. So like, I feel like we could tell you what it's going to be like. We could say you're going to be challenged. You know what I'm saying? In a relationship, you're going to be challenged on any behaviors that you're going to have. People they're going to tell you like, hey, this is something I didn't like. I this is how you need to love me. This is how I receive love. You know, and all that stuff. And as I'm saying it, as I'm saying it. I'm thinking of all the things, all the miscommunications. I'm thinking of all the not all of the conflict that we've had and overcome. But when I'm telling you don't have that. You don't have that memory that I'm going through in my head. You just hear what I'm saying, and I don't think it conveys the breadth and width of that journey to get to where we are or where those people who have 20, 30 years in the game. And you won't until you got 20, 30 years in the game.
That's a good point, babe. I mean, I think about this thing that I read a couple of different things. So like they say you're not ready to get married to someone until you recognize that like who they are right then and there as you are marrying them. If they never change anymore, that you would be happy with that person, right? Mm-hmm. Like that idea of the acceptance. Like, can you tolerate all that comes with this while still respecting, admiring, and like having all of that love that goes along with that? And I think that a lot of us don't have an understanding or a frame of reference for like, I mean, I like him. That's enough. It's like, yes, good. But can you also tolerate like these things that are quirks? Like, do you understand what it means for it to look the same as it does right now, 15 years from now, and for you to be like, okay, like that's just him, like, and not be reactive, not be upset. Like, can you tolerate those things that are irking your spirit and soul right now.
That's fact. But I also wonder, is that phrase like of if nothing changes with your partner right now for the next till y'all die, would you be okay with that? And I wonder, would that only work if you yourself don't change either? If you stay how you are now, and you both of y'all stay together, how y'all are now, will you be okay with that relationship continue on to you in your life? I can't imagine that you like, oh yeah, I like how, I love how you are right now, but based on how I am. But who's to say how I'm personally going to be in 10 for you? I may have changed, and then if you're still the same, that may no longer align with who I am at that point. So that may be, so as I am now, I could say wholeheartedly, like, absolutely, but that's based off of what's going on with me right now. And I think that to get to the 15, to get into the 20, get to the 30, until death do us part, it requires that any changes of growth that we both do happen in a way that it continues to be compatible.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that the idea behind that original statement was just like, it could not, like, nothing could change. Like, maybe the thing that you're banking on changing, you're like, ooh, I know he's going to get this in year 2. Like, he's finally going to get this thing together. That might not happen. Is that going to be enough for you to be like, I need to walk away?
Right.
But I think the other part that you just brought up is a really good one, is like, that is a crossroad for people where they do end up getting a divorce. It's like, my life and the direction that I see it is going this way. You're deciding to go this way, or you're still attached to what I said in year 1. In year 1, when we both shared this vision of X, and now my vision is Y, and we can't compromise. Like, we can't figure out what a happy middle ground is. And so I got to pursue my Y. I don't want to sacrifice my Y to reach an X that I didn't want anymore.
Yeah, and some people's X and Y is different in severity. Like, some people's X is like, oh yeah, like what I said in year 1 is kind of the same, but like maybe I'm on a different career trajectory now that requires us to, I don't know, we need to move now, and we're moving away in order to make this happen. And maybe that doesn't agree with you, but I imagine that is something that is easier to work through and compromise on than say, oh, we both had a dream of having kids, and then like either one decided like, nah, I don't anymore, or like through some medical issue, we can no longer have kids. Can y'all decide, okay, well, we're just going to adopt, or we're just going to surrogate, or it's going to be on some like, nah, I want kid from my loins in your womb. And if you can't have that, I'm gone. I'm just throwing that out as
but loins just mean,
it's very giggle. Old school. So I like this last clip. I think she was spitting bars. What was it she say? Be able to tolerate each other's weaknesses as so much as
respect and admire each other's strengths.
That's real. I think we get overly focused on the strengths. I think we overly focus on like the strengths, and we don't. Well, I guess we do like kind of think about the weaknesses, but in the sense of like, I don't want it to exist, and not only do I not want it to exist, it shouldn't exist. And if I see it, that's enough to negate any strengths that I see in you. And I don't think that's doing us a service. I don't think it's doing our generation or the generations that come behind us. I don't think that's going to do us any service when it comes to trying to build happy, healthy families in the future. And it's not realistic. And I think in following that, I can't imagine the type of people we will raise in society if we continue to go down the line of like demonizing weaknesses and beating people down for not having like these same strengths, in the sense of like everybody has to have these same strengths. And so I think that kind of takes away the individuality of humanity on the low, because like not everyone has the same strengths and not everyone has the same weaknesses. So now we're trying to say everybody got to have the same strengths, and no one can have weaknesses. And it's like, that's not possible. And that's not going to make for very good mental health moving forward for our men or our women. Yeah. And I think we already kind of see it, so mental health is looking kind of wild right now. And I'm speaking from a mental health professional therapist perspective. It's just like, there's a lot of dissonance when it comes to, what we think we should be doing or how we think our life should be versus how our lives really really is going in the trajectory, and trying to reconcile the two, and having a very, very, very hard time trying to do that. Woo. It's hard out here.
For a pimp.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that being said, how you feeling, babe? You feeling good?
I'm feeling good. I like this last video, and I like the thoughts that you had. I appreciated hearing them.
Thank you.
I respect and admire your strengths, and I tolerate your weaknesses.
I agree. And I respect.
That's gonna be a part of our vows.
I respect and tolerate. Oh no! I tolerate your weaknesses, and I respect and admire your strengths.
Hit me with the strengths first. Tolerate me on the back end.
That's true. You know what I'm saying? Hit them with the good stuff, and then gently massage, the bad stuff or the limiting stuff, I guess, on the back end. All right, y'all. I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
With episode 106.
I forget that the thing is right there.
I think I might name this episode "Admiring Our Strengths," or maybe "Tolerating Our Weaknesses."
I like tolerating our weaknesses.
Yeah, I think we're gonna name this episode "Tolerating Our Weaknesses," episode 106. So thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? If you're getting value from this, as Ciandra said earlier in this episode, share it. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on IG, The Buffet Pod. Follow us on TikTok, The Buffet Pod. Brandon and Ciandra. Follow us. We on there. We trying to get it popping. Write us. Let us know how we doing. What you like. What you dislike. So.
We are gonna do a Reddit
one of these days.
Episodes next week for sure.
All right. She said it. She said it. Even if you had to come in on the back end and be like, all right, post-production, Reddit read.
Yes.
So yeah.
We'll
appreciate
see
y'all.
Next time.
Peace.
Bye.